Hello everybody, I am Ben from Team Panic, and today we're going to be looking at how my Beetleweight AnnieRUOK did at ARC's Robot Havok Round 2. This is our big annual event where we fight for an entire weekend with a whole bunch of different weight classes. And yeah, like I said, it was a big event. Last year we had this and I took 6 robots. This time around I took 7 robots, but I didn't actually drive all of those because that is too many robots. And today we're going to be looking, like I said, at AnnieRUOK. Now, very quickly, I will say that the Annie that sits in front of me right now is different to the Annie that I took to Bugglebots in the UK. This is quite important for you to know that because in the UK I had more weight. So a lot of things were upgraded and improved on Annie, and then when I got home I had to strip a bunch of stuff back out of her so that she made weight in the Australian leagues, which means that what you're about to see may or may not be representative of how Annie did over in the UK. What I will say is that she's different now than she was over there, so you know, just watch Bugglebots when it comes out. And you'll know how Annie did over there. Don't take this video as a guide for any of that. Also, for Robot Havok 2, ARC released or brought out a brand new arena, which is a really cool arena. It has 2 lowering pits in the sides of it, and the whole middle section raises up so the ant weights can fight 2 at a time inside the one arena, which means that the whole arena is used for all of the different weight classes and all of the different fights that we do. It's really awesome, but the raising and lowering does mean that the ground clearance is not the same as it was in the old arena. In the old arena it was nice, pretty level flooring, but with the raising and lowering panels, it means that the floor does have some seams in it, which wasn't something that a lot of us were expecting, but I mean, it does actually kind of help a little bit. It's one of those things where an uneven floor helps those of us who are not really close to the ground, and even though Annie is kind of close to the ground, she's not a wedge, so it's okay, I guess. Having said all of that, getting all of that out of the way, it is time to move on to our first fight. So our first fight is up against a robot called Crazy Cat, and Crazy Cat is a reskinned, repainted version of a robot called Duke from this same event last year, which is responsible for destroying the toaster robot Breakfast up there, which is now just a shell, and there's no robot inside of that. So it was good to look at them and try and fight them again. I knew going in they had a pretty powerful weapon, but I was hoping that Annie's weapon and the upgrades that I've made on Annie over Breakfast were going to see me through this fight.
3, 2, 1, game on, gentlemen, here we go. Oh. Instant results. Oh. Big hits, these bots are so hardy. Let's count them down. 4, 3, 2, 1, and that is game. It was short.
Oh, so what happened there? I mean, there was some sparks while I was in the air. Let's take a look at that again, shall we? So yes, the weapon stack hit itself, or the weapon stack allowed the weapon to wobble and float around and hit the bolts in underneath Annie. That's where the sparks were coming from while Annie was like in the air after hits like that. The other thing was that the wheels that were on Annie were a brand new set of wheels with new silicone that had been glued in. And the glue was apparently just did not grab to the silicone very well, and it came off. So yeah, we lost that fight, which was very unfortunate. It was a good fight up until that point. I mean, I didn't really manage to get in underneath to their wheels per se, which is kind of what I was trying to go for there. But yeah, I just didn't quite manage to make it in underneath and get their wheels. Also, they were running nice squishy foam wheels, which are kind of difficult for a spinner like mine to grab hold of. So there wasn't a lot that I was actually doing to them, unfortunately. And yeah, that meant that the wheel vulnerability ended up with Annie losing that one. The next fight of the day is one that I really, really didn't want on the first day. The next fight of the day is IronTooth. Now, those of you who've watched the video before know IronTooth is a very, very nasty horizontal spinner, and I've beaten him before, but only when Annie was in a configuration like this, with nice, good, solid 6mm HDPE up the front that covers over the side armor and the side standoffs. However, on the first day of this tournament, I was too far overweight to use this nice front panel. In actual fact, I had to cut a whole brand new front panel to allow me to make, top plate, to allow me to make weight with this front panel. Like I said, there was a lot of stuff that had to kind of flux because of Bugglebots and all of that kind of thing. So that meant that I was going into this one just fearing the outcome, essentially, because I had a smaller front plate on there, which I didn't really know what material it was. It's just a piece of cutting board, essentially, stuck up the front there, which some of them are good quality and some of them are bad quality, and I guess we're about to find out what this one is because it's going up against a very big weapon.
3, 2, 1, begin! Two really fast spinners here. Oh, the pain. And he's still moving. There he goes. Moving quietly. Absolute destruction today.
No idea.
But our one spinner working.
Towards the back.
Oh, big hit to Annie. Alright, everybody stop, let's get down. 10, 9. He's done. He's done.
That's it.
So it was what's called MDPE, and we're a little bit sad about that. So MDPE is mid-density polyethylene, or it might not have been MDPE, it might have actually been something else entirely, some other form of slightly abrasion-resistant plastic. But it definitely was not HDPE, because HDPE does not crack and shatter into a million pieces like this. It's kind of amazing that the piece with the mouth on it stayed alive. I actually found this in the kind of side rot of the arena at the end of the event. When we're cleaning everything up, I'm packing everything down, I pulled this out, I went, oh, there you go. So we've got a nice little frown in the face for Annie coming out of that fight. And once again, I had re-glued the silicone onto those wheels, and it just broke again. I don't really know what I'm going to do about that, but it was also probably a good thing, because at that point we were just getting pummeled to within an inch of our life anyway, and our backplate was not strong enough to stand up to a weapon like that. So yeah, bowing out of that fight was the good option in this case, which, you know, it's kind of sad to say that. I do like to try and take a fight to the very end, but yeah, having those silicone wheels jam up and bind up meant that the rebuild that I had to do on Annie overnight going into day 2 was a lot less severe, which meant I was able to cut this new top plate and make weight with the big angled front plate, which is actual proper 6mm HDPE, which is what we need. Yeah, we're never ever going into battle with this crappy cutting board on the thing ever again, because ugh. Next up we have Death of Rats. So this is now on day 2. We're going up against Death of Rats. We have the new top plate, we have the new front panel. Everything is going pretty well. Death of Rats itself is a smaller horizontal spinner. It's one that I know that with this new front armor I can tank the hits from, so I'm going to go pretty much weapon to weapon with them constantly. Also, their weapon size is actually smaller than mine, so I'm hitting the front in underneath their weapon before they manage to hit me. They have just had a new upgrade to a Hardox blade, so I'm not really sure how this one is going to go, but I'm feeling better about it than I thought about the IronTooth fight.
3, 2, 1, game on!
So we won that one, but it wasn't as spectacular as any of the other fights that we've had. Those last two fights have been showing you those nice slow-mo shots of those really big hits, and there just wasn't those in this fight. There was lots of little nibbles and lots of kind of bouncing off of each other, but that was about it. And also, his nice big foam wheels meant that I was getting no bite on those. Literally at one point, he was up against the front plate of Annie, driving backwards into Annie with the weapon spinning underneath the wheels, and nothing was happening. He was basically driving on the weapon. What? That's frustrating. When somebody's driving on top of your weapon, yup. However, we did still manage to win that one because, of course, he drove himself into the pit. It would have been nice to have some more big hits in there, but, you know, a win is a win. However, at this point, it really doesn't matter all that much. The system is done on a kind of round-robin thing, and Annie's 2 losses basically mean she's not going to make it into the finals. It basically have to be miracles flying at this point for Annie to go anywhere near the finals. I don't think she's going to make it that far. But we do have another fight coming up. And this next one is up against Spinner B, which is a big overhead spinner design with nice exposed wheels on the side. Last time I fought Spinner B, it was a pretty quick affair. I came in, I took out both wheels, and it was all over Red Rover. This time I've actually given them, the builder behind Spinner B, a set of wheels to use on Spinner B to be a little bit, well, a little bit more disposable, I guess, because I kind of broke his wheels last time. So I did give him a set to use. Let's see how this one goes.
3, 2, 1, game on. Here we go. Nothing but chaos. That's what we like to see. Are they both down? It's going to be getting closer to the 10 seconds left. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and that is time. Congratulations to both of our drivers.
So that was a draw. That was a draw. I got stuck on the very same tire that I gave to spinner B, and look, sometimes that is just how the world is. I mean, even if you told me as I was giving him those wheels that I was going to get stuck on those wheels, I'd do it all over again. That's just, it's part of the sport. It's a thing that happens. It was kind of funny too. So I'm going to show a nice little photo here of the underside of Annie. That tire was properly lodged in underneath the weapon, which is why I had barely any traction on the wheels, is because I had a nice big tire in underneath me, kind of propping my back end up. It's also why I couldn't spin the weapon anymore, because the weapon itself was jammed. If I had a reversing switch on my weapon, if the ESC was programmed to allow reversing on the weapon, then I probably could have got out of that. It didn't take too much to tug the tire free, but that's not something that I was ever thinking about or prepared for. So yeah, that was not a thing that I had set up on this remote, which meant that, yeah, we got stuck and it was a draw. We both, yeah, we're kind of lucky that we didn't get counted out, essentially. We both had barely enough movement at the end there, because of course I'd taken off one wheel and the tire on the other one, so it was basically crab walking around on the power of the spinner and just the tiniest touches on one wheel, and I was basically getting any and all traction I could possibly get with that tire propping up the back end and keeping her away from the ground. Yeah, so unfortunately with that, Annie is out of this competition. There is no finals for Annie. A 1 win and 1 draw record for the weekend is not putting her anywhere near the finals, which is very sad, but that is the way this stuff goes. Now, because of how Annie has gone here, and redacted from Bogglebots, there is things that I want to do, and that stuff, by the way, is a joke about the redacted from Bogglebots. My choices for Annie from here on out are based solely on this event. So there's things that I want to do to Annie, and that basically means this entire chassis is going, and we're building Annie version 3. That'll happen sometime in the next couple of months. We're going to build an Annie version 3. So I figured it was time that we do something that I haven't done before on this channel. At least I don't think so. We're going into a Beetleweight rumble with AnnieRUOK. So this is literally just anybody who had a Beetleweight who didn't care if it got destroyed, put their Beetles into the rumble at the end. And as I just said, Annie is going to now, well, Annie version 2, which is what she is at the moment, is getting retired, and Annie version 3 will come along. So yeah, Annie is going to go into that rumble. Let's take a quick look at that.
2, 1, game on! Too much fun! Oh, that is a lot of weight to lift in the air. That is 30 seconds in, so those pits are going to come into play as per usual. All pits are in play, or one of them are. How many pots have in the pit? Probably one. Lumberjack and Buckcoat, this is a fight we wanted to see throughout the tournament. Would you believe it, folks? We're not even 2 minutes in yet. Just when you think it's over, it's not. Alright, Bucko's found the piece. Lumberjack, got all the batteries back in. Oh, he's in! There is the battle! Congratulations, Lumberjack!
Man, that one was a fun fight. I do love Rumbles. It's just one of the big things about Rumbles is that Rumbles are the ultimate way to do a massive amount of damage to your robot. And I mean, yeah, this weapon came off completely. This, by the way, is one of the reasons why I have never tried to run Annie upside down. I'm running 3D printed pulleys. These are just ABS pulleys. That is all that's keeping this weapon on here most of the time. So yeah, when he got a nice big bite on this weapon, it sent the weapon flying and not the robot. So yeah, that's just a no-go basically until I can have the weight to make these out of aluminium or something stronger, which maybe for version 3, I'm going to try and get actual proper metal pulleys and everything for version 3. There's a couple of things that are more important on my list of wants than that, but that's one of the big things that I do want to change. So yeah, like I said, they're a great way to do a lot of damage, but they are also a lot of fun. Yeah, so we definitely didn't win that Rumble, but that's all right. Annie, yeah, like I said, Annie is out now. Annie's ready to go. Well, Annie was ready to be upgraded and moved on with all of that. Also, the reason why we ended up stopping in that fight, the wheels stayed on because I changed over to my old wheels in between the 2 days. And even though the weapon had come off, I was still driving around fine. These at the front here are why we stopped moving. This is the ground wire for my battery. It somehow managed to wiggle its way out of a tiny little gap in this brand new front plate because this brand new front plate didn't get cut quite right. Wow, words today. Yeah, so this brand new front plate didn't get cut quite right, and there's a nice little, just a tiny little gap that this battery lead could come out of, and it wiggled its way out of there just as Lumberjack hit it, so it cut the lead and therefore cut the power to the whole robot. And she died against the wall. Well, actually, she didn't die against the wall because the leads touched the paneling of the wall and connected through the paneling on the wall. So my robot was grounded through the arena for half a second. Then I hit the backwards on the stick. Annie moved away just a touch, and the leads stopped touching the wall again, and the whole robot died. So I could have, maybe, if I was really skilled, continued to fight by keeping the leads pointed at the wall, but let's be honest, that was never ever going to work. So yeah, she ended up out of that fight because of that, which is an interesting way to go at it. It's definitely not one that I've ever had before. I'm just also glad that this was not both battery leads, because then we would have had a short of the LiPo battery and probably a fire, which, yeah, would have really totaled this chassis. So, anyway, there you go. That is all I have for you today. That is it. That is Annie version 2's last ever set of fights. Of course, you will see kind of Annie version 2.5-ish at BuggleBots when BuggleBots does get released. I don't know when that is. Sometime in the future, you will see Annie have some more fights. But in the meantime, we're going to upgrade Annie to version 3 and take her to the next Beetleweight competition here in Australia. So I hope you guys have enjoyed that one, and I will see you next time where we're going to start talking about the 2v2s and how a little obvious did at Robot Havok.